In today's video, we're going to be comparing the brand new Manchez Scout to the BF400 and the regular Manchez to see how good this motorcycle actually is and if it's worth it for you guys to buy it in the end game. We're going to do a bunch of different tests to see how good it actually is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's get into it. First off, let's take a look at the upgrades of these two vehicles. The Manchez Scout is definitely a lot more customizable than the BF400 since it is a newer vehicle, and obviously since it's from the Kyle Perico heist, most of the vehicles from that are highly customizable, so I'm not really surprised about that. But now let's see how well it performs, because that's what really matters. By the way guys, go check out my friend It's Joseph. Yes, we kind of had the same name, but he's also starting off his GTA YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated if you guys can go check out some of the videos he's been posting and subscribe to the channel. He's pretty funny and it sounds like he's high every single time he's making a video, because honestly half the time he is. Go check him out, the link is down below in the description. Show him some love and support. First up, we're going to do a simple little drag race to the end of the runway with each of these motorcycles, starting off with the BF400. The BF400 is currently the #1 off-roading motorcycle in the game, and it also has one of the highest top speeds out of all of the motorcycles in the game as well. So if the Manchez Scout can actually beat it, or even come close to that, that's a pretty damn good bike. And just excuse that airplane that just crashed. But this vehicle is actually amazing. In terms of the top speed it reached by the end of the runway here is about 108 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. And now let's take a look at the Manchez Scout. If you guys are wondering, no, none of the upgrades do add any weight to the vehicle whatsoever. Not a single vehicle in the game is affected by that. Doesn't matter what you put on, it will not make the vehicle any heavier. Whatever Rockstar put in the code for every single one of these vehicles, that it is its true weight in the end. So it doesn't really matter about that. But this vehicle, surprisingly, is not as fast. I honestly thought it would be a little bit faster or pretty close, but this vehicle just barely reached 100 miles per hour going down this runway, which I'm pretty surprised about. So in terms of that little drag race there, the BF400 is about 8 miles per hour faster, and it will win in a drag race against the Manchez Scout. But there is one thing amazing about the Manchez Scout, which is kind of worth it to purchase, and that is its ability to do wheelies. There is no other motorcycle in the game that can do wheelies like this vehicle. Now, some of them can hold a wheelie all the way down the runway, but none of those vehicles can turn while doing a wheelie as well as this. Every other vehicle in the entire game honestly just does wheelies how they normally would. And when you try to turn while doing a wheelie, it doesn't really work. You really have to push hard on the analog stick and it won't really turn. But this vehicle, you could fully turn however much you want. You can literally drive around the entire map doing a wheelie and nothing will affect you. You can literally do a wheelie while going like 5 miles per hour and still be doing a wheelie. You won't be like stopped, the front wheel won't go down or anything like that, which is one thing I absolutely love about this new bike. And then when you take a look at the BF400 while it's doing wheelies, yeah, you can turn a little bit, but just barely. And when you try to do it, most of the time your front wheel will end up dropping back down to the ground, and when you want to pull a wheelie again, you do have to let off the gas a little bit. Unlike with the new Manchez Scout, you don't have to do it at all. So that is one upside to the Manchez Scout. It is much better at doing wheelies and turning and just handling in general. Even when it's not doing wheelies, it feels like it's a lot easier to handle than the BF400, which is another upside to that vehicle. Now in terms of each vehicle's true top speed. While doing a wheelie straight down this track, the BF400 reached a top speed of 123 miles per hour, which is extremely fast. Of course, that is pulling a wheelie. I'm not 100% sure what it is without pulling a wheelie. Obviously, it's a lot slower. And then when taking a look at the Manchez Scout doing a wheelie, it reaches a top speed of about 110 miles per hour, which is significantly slower than the BF400. But honestly, it's still a pretty great bike. In terms of just the speed in general, the BF400 is one of the fastest bikes, like I said. So obviously, that one just smokes pretty much anything. So in terms of that, obviously, this vehicle loses, but how do they perform off-road? Let's go take a look at that. So we're back to the good old test course where I do all of my off-road tests. Each vehicle will start right here at the bottom of the mountain and make their way all the way up this steep incline to the very top of the mountain, and we're going to see which vehicle can reach the top the fastest and see how they perform on different inclines while actually going up this mountain. They get steeper as you go up, starting off with something that isn't that steep, then a little steeper, and then of course the big one right here where it is pretty damn steep, and we're going to see how they all turn out in the end. Comment down below how well you think the Manchez Scout is going to do during this. Obviously, if you used it during the heist, it's done pretty well. So let's take a look at how well this vehicle does on this. Now, some of you guys may actually be surprised, but the Manchez Scout actually does not beat out the BF400 in this. Now, it's actually a great vehicle for off-roading, but it's not a great vehicle for driving up hills and mountains. Even though it is a dirt bike of a sort, I guess, it just is not meant for something like this, which is kind of strange. I thought it would have been a little bit better. Some of these newer vehicles, they honestly look cool, have tons of cool customizations, but they're really just not built for really doing much in the game. They're really just built for show, and they really don't have the best kind of abilities at all compared to some of the other vehicles we have in the game. You could see it was having a bit of trouble just going up that incline right there, and now coming up to the steepest incline, this is where it faces the most amount of trouble and drops down below 20 miles per hour. So in the end, this vehicle managed to make it to the top of the mountain with a time of about 1 minute and 22 seconds, which is not that great. Especially since it is a bike, you would have thought it would have done a lot better, but let's go and test out the BF400. You guys are going to see here why this bike is the best off-roading dirt bike in the game. Look at it, it just flies up the mountain with no issues. Comparing this to some other vehicles, for instance the Camacho, which is the #1 off-roading vehicle in the game, that vehicle can make it to the top of this mountain in like 45 seconds, which is pretty crazy. So this is pretty much the Camacho of dirt bikes. It's truly just an amazing vehicle. It manages to get to the top of the mountain with about 1 minute on its timer. So it beat out the Manchez Scout by about 22 seconds, which is pretty significant. So in the end, when you guys are actually going off-roading, obviously the BF400 would definitely be the better option. It absolutely smokes the Manchez Scout in every single way. It doesn't really seem to struggle whatsoever, but I do have to admit, in terms of handling, the Manchez Scout did feel a little bit better. So that is one upside again to the Manchez Scout. But in terms of overall performance, it isn't really that great. I did say we do a test with the Manchez as well. This is literally the first time I've mentioned it in this video other than at the start. And you guys can see this vehicle is already performing better than the Manchez Scout as well. Now don't forget, this one is literally a pure dirt bike. The Manchez Scout is more of like a different dirt bike, I guess. It's just a completely different thing in my opinion. It's more like an off-road vehicle instead of a dirt bike. But honestly, it's still a great vehicle. But the Manchez actually does beat it out. But comparing this to the BF400, obviously the BF400 smokes that. So comparing all three of these vehicles on the off-road test, obviously in last place is the Manchez Scout, then the Manchez, and then in first place is the BF400. So if you're looking for an off-road dirt bike, honestly, the cheapest option would be the Manchez. Best option would be the BF400, obviously, but if you just want to cool them with lots of customizations, the Manchez Scout is for you. If you guys were wondering how the Manchez performs while doing wheelies, it can actually turn really, really well as well, which is an upside, but it can't hold the wheelie for that long, which is the downside, which is why I said the Manchez Scout is the best vehicle for doing wheelies in GTA 5 Online. There is no other vehicle in this game that will beat it out, hands down. Before this, the BF400 was the best in my opinion because it could hold the wheelie no matter what. Although it couldn't turn that well, it was the best. But now the Manchez Scout just absolutely destroys it. So taking a look at the final conclusion here, with everything added up, let's take a look at the upsides of the Manchez Scout. It's great at doing wheelies. It has an amazing handling, and while doing wheelies, you can really turn really well. Like you're gonna see throughout this clip, I'm just slowing down right here. Literally super slow to the speed a pedestrian like walks or jogs at, and I'm still doing a wheelie. I'm not sure if you could do this with every bike in the game, but you could do it really great with this bike. I'm just saying that. But those are really the only good things about this bike other than the customizations. Everything else really isn't that great. Now, if you're just driving how you normally would, off-road on a flat surface, obviously this vehicle will perform very well, because that's really not that hard to do. Pretty much every vehicle in the game will perform really well, except for maybe the Faggio, because that's a scooter. But then when you look at everything else in terms of top speed, and then in terms of braking even, I would think the BF400 would be a little better than that, and in terms of just off-roading, going up steep inclines, it beats it out. The Manchez Scout is just not meant for that. So if you're just looking for a vehicle that you can customize and honestly have a lot of fun with, because like I said, it's really great at doing wheelies. Like you can wheelie really, really well with this vehicle. So if you enjoy doing that, then this vehicle is hands down for you. Like, look at this. I'm still doing a wheelie here, and it's really easy to pop one too. You don't need to slow down that much to pull one up, even when you're going over 60 miles per hour. So in the end, is it worth it to actually purchase the Manchez Scout? It's $200,000, which is pretty expensive for an off-roading dirt bike. In my opinion, I'd have to say not really. If you're looking for performance, this isn't for you. But if you're looking for having fun, then definitely buy it, because this thing is really, really fun to drive around. I really hope this video did help you guys out if you were considering buying this vehicle and you wanted to know if it was actually an amazing dirt bike compared to some of the other ones in the game. I believe the BF400 is a lot cheaper, so honestly, if you want a great dirt bike, the BF400 is the best one in the game. But like I said, if you want to have fun, the Manchez Scout is perfect. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.